My name is Raymond Ellis. I'm 62 years old, and I never imagined that the child I raised with my own hands would one day betray me in a way that cut deeper than any wound I'd ever felt, but life has a strange way of showing you who people truly are. When my son Jared secretly used my credit cards behind my back, it wasn't the money that shattered me. It was the moment I realized he saw me not as his father, not as the man who worked 2 jobs to support him, but as someone he could take advantage of without guilt, without hesitation, without even a second thought. It started small, of course, a few charges I didn't recognize, little things I assumed were bank errors. Then the amounts grew. Electronics, hotel bookings, food deliveries, subscription services I'd never heard of. At first, I blamed myself, thinking maybe I swiped the wrong card or maybe someone online stole my information. But the truth revealed itself in the most painful way possible. One afternoon, the bank called me and said, "Mr. Ellis, we want to confirm a $1,249 charge at an electronics store made under your cardholder name. But the ID shown at the store was flagged as suspicious." I froze. My breath caught in my throat because I knew the moment they said, "ID shown," that this wasn't an online theft. Someone stood there, in person, pretending to be me. The store sent a photo, and there he was, my son, smiling, wearing his baseball cap backward like he used to when he was a teenager, the same boy who used to stand on my work boots while hugging me when he was little. And now he was stealing from me. I didn't confront him right away because in that moment, something changed in me. The fatherly instinct to protect became overshadowed by something I had never felt toward my own child. Disappointment mixed with disbelief so heavy it was almost physical. I waited. I watched. I let him keep digging his own hole, knowing every lie he told, every charge he made, every excuse he rehearsed would only help me deliver the lesson he desperately needed. Over the next week, he spent nearly $3,000 on my cards. But I stayed calm. I made notes. I contacted the bank and explained everything. They froze the account, flagged the charges as fraud, and set up an investigation. And that's when the real plan began. I invited Jared over for dinner, something I rarely did since he'd become too busy living his new, independent lifestyle, as he liked to call it. He arrived acting normal, smiling, giving me a half-hearted hug, bragging about a new gaming console he got a great deal on. I nodded, pretending to believe him. But inside, every word he said added gasoline to a fire I had been preparing to ignite. After dinner, I laid the bank statements on the table in front of him. His face drained of color, his hands started shaking, and he tried to laugh it off, saying, "Dad, calm down. It's not a big deal." But then he said the sentence that flipped a switch inside me. "You barely use your cards anyway." I figured it wouldn't matter. That was the moment I stopped seeing him as my son and started seeing him as a grown man who needed a harsh lesson about consequences. I told him I had already contacted the bank and they were launching a fraud investigation. Suddenly, the arrogance disappeared. He begged, he cried. He apologized. He tried to twist it into an emotional story about needing money, being stressed, wanting to buy things to feel good, and not wanting to ask me for help. I stayed silent and let him talk himself into a deeper corner. When he finished, I told him what was really about to happen. The bank wanted to press charges unless the fraudulent user admitted responsibility and repaid everything immediately, but I told him I wanted to handle things privately first. Then I gave him 2 choices. Either I let the bank move forward, which meant he would face criminal charges, a permanent mark on his record, and possibly jail time, or he could take responsibility right now and learn the lesson like a man. His lips trembled as he asked what that meant. And that's when I handed him a written agreement I'd prepared earlier, a repayment plan. Every stolen dollar listed, every deadline marked. Along with one clause, he would surrender his card to me until the full amount was paid. His eyes widened. He yelled, "Dad, you can't be serious." I responded with a coldness I had never used with him before. "You stole from me. Actions have consequences. This is mercy." He tried to negotiate. He tried to guilt-trip me. He tried to call his mother. Nothing worked. Eventually, he realized I wasn't bending. He signed the agreement with tears in his eyes. then handed me the keys to his precious car, the one he loved, the one he polished every weekend, the one he cared about more than he cared about respecting the man who raised him. But the lesson didn't end there. The next day I drove his car, yes, his pride and joy, to the bank and informed them that the fraudulent user had confessed and agreed to repay the full amount. They closed the investigation. His record stayed clean because I protected him. Not because he deserved it, but because I wanted him to learn without destroying his future. And for the first time in years, he actually showed up at my house voluntarily. Not to ask for money. Not to complain. Not to brag. He showed up to mow my lawn. To take out my trash. To fix my leaky faucet. To help me with errands. Slowly, month by month, he repaid every dollar. And as he did, something changed in him. He began to understand responsibility. He began to understand consequences. He began to understand respect. When he finally made the last payment, 10 long months later, I handed him back his car keys. He stared at them, then at me and whispered, "Dad, I'm sorry. For everything." And for the first time in a long time, I believed him. Because this time, the apology wasn't forced or panicked or manipulative. It was real. He had earned his forgiveness, and I had earned his respect. That day I hugged him not as the father who raised him, but as a man who helped another man grow. And as he drove away, I realized something important. Sometimes the toughest lessons are the ones that save the people we love the most, even if it breaks our heart to teach them.